Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Eastern Lariat podcast, your show for news, notes, reviews, and opinions on the world of Japanese pro wrestling here on cagematch.net. I am your host, STRIGGA, and I'm, as always, joined by Dylan. Dylan, as we do practically every single year, we are here a few days removed from the final of the G1 Climax to talk about what occurred over the past weeks on the final stretch of this big summer tournament, of the biggest tournament in pro wrestling every year that has a lot of eyes on it, supposedly. And we're gonna talk about what happened in the final stretch and on the final days of this tournament. You also put up a tweet on our Eastern Lariat account at Eastern Lariat on Twitter to find out what the fans and the listeners thought, and you got tremendous response on that. You're the man for the statistics here. I am the man to bring the feeling, and we are trying to restore some of the feeling that may have been lost over the course of the last couple of weeks, or to question why this feeling got lost.
Obviously this is always one of the biggest events of the year in Japanese wrestling. And obviously it gave us the opportunity to look through stuff with so much of the reaction on cagematch.net, and that's where I sourced a lot of the statistics from, this wonderful website. And it got a lot of people talking, like a long story short of it. And I think that's good, because I remember on the last episode, we were like almost halfway through the tournament, and I had made a comment to the effect of like, boy, nobody's talking about this tournament. It feels like, for good or bad, mostly bad. Like I would say the decisions that were made leading into the final and at the end of the block play and who advanced, people came out of the woodwork to say their opinion and speak their mind, which is a much better sign than where we were at in our last episode.
Yes. When we're talking about the final stretch, that can definitely be said, but in between that, it was rough. There was not a lot of engagement online.
Yes.
For this tournament, like on the final days of the block stages, you couldn't really say that there was a lot of attention, a lot of eyes on this tournament. It's just been, when you look overall in the Japanese scene, since the pandemic, it's really been a downward spiral for engagement online for all these companies, and it shows in attendances. It shows in numbers. You can just go to this one here. They booked Ariake Arena for the final stretch of this tournament for 2 shows, and for the semi-final show, they did 4,558 officially, and for the final one, they did 6,870. That's a very low attendance for Ariake Arena in both ways. I've put that tweet out as well, comparing it to, for example, the historic crossover show where they did over 7,000 fans working together with Stardom, obviously. And I also went through Cage Match.
And speaking of statistics on that one, not to interrupt you, but I think that did prove that the best wrestler in the world, Koguma, proved that she was the real draw on that, in my opinion, based on some responses we got.
Filthy Tom Lawler also got in our mentions and said, I was on one of those shows.
Well, and as I said, Koguma, and the response he got was that she was also on those shows, and I think that he needs to really check himself a little bit on there. I can't stand this talking trash about Koguma. I had somebody do that in my mentions the other day too, and I wasn't very happy.
Stand up for Koguma.
That's what I'm doing right now. She wasn't even in the 5-star GP, so somebody has to do it. But
32 people in the 5-star group. How didn't you get in?
well, neither was Hazuki. They just were
It's-
doing their thing.
doing the thing.
But
Yes,
yeah,
so
go on.
6,870 for the finals of the G1 Climax. There is one G1 Climax in history that has a lower attendance for the final day, and that is the one from 2022, where Japan was still under a state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They ran Nippon Budokan on that day and drew 6,716. It's hard to go back in history because we only got for a long time we only got rounded numbers. So I went through all the 2000s G1 Climax finals, and it always says 11,000 in attendance, basically 11,500 or 11,000 in attendance. So it's hard to really compare it to those attendances. But when we're talking about the modern days of the G1 Climax, I think it's fair to say that in a non-pandemic state, this one was the least attended G1 Climax final.
I mean, it's not that surprising to be honest, based on how this tournament went as a whole. I think this has to be one of the worst overall G1s to me. I would say
I can't remember a final stretch since they basically do that where they run 3 shows, whatever they do. Like sometimes they did semifinals, sometimes they did supposed semifinals with the block winners, or with the block finals being the semifinal matches per se. But I can't remember a final stretch that I thought was as bad as this one. There were good matches in this final stretch, don't get me wrong, and we also had wrestlers that really worked hard to get where they wanted to go. But overall, when I look at everything overall from the final days, from the 3 or 4 final days, I can't remember a final stretch that I thought was so uninspiring and so bad creatively, really. Because the one surprise, if you want to call it that, was of course Evil advancing, but that is always looming. That's not really anything that they pulled out of their head.
yeah, I predicted that actually.
Nobody can see. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is always something that is there. That's it's not one of the cards. That's basically their single card that they have left in their deck that they can play.
Yeah.
So that is what happened on this final stretch. Nothing original. No getting behind a new guy that we weren't expecting. Just a lot of nothing, sadly, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean they made their bed. I talked about it on one of our recent episodes because there was that stretch early on in the tournament where they had that just dreadful number that I was some Tanahashi match was in there, and it was like really really bad. And I remember saying that I really feel like that Dominion show was a final straw for a lot of fans. And a lot of that was because they doubled down on the House of Torture and basically had a whole show full of angles surrounding them. And they responded to this G1 by tripling down on the House of Torture. And they've got the same results as they kind of always get, I would say, when they do that.
So that's where it really gets interesting, right? So I don't think you can make the statement that those fans that were there didn't want to see the House of Torture or didn't want to see the Evil shtick.
Yeah, those are the ones left, though.
That's exactly the talking point. And they booked this venue specifically, Ariake Arena. It's a bigger venue than Sumo Hall. And if you book a bigger venue for a tournament like this, I'm guessing you expect a bigger outcome, right? That's usually how the metrics work. You don't book a bigger venue because you want to fill it half.
But it makes one wonder, what evidence would they have that they would think that?
Exactly. What evidence is there? I don't I don't see it. I don't. The metrics don't.
Realistically, what were they thinking? Like what was going through their mind to put this together? Like, what was their idea? Because there's so much wrong.
Some more heat against this shtick, Dylan. Maybe fans will finally come. So, like you said, that's basically the main takeaway that I was thinking about, and that a lot of people were thinking about. We also discussed that in the Cage Match Discord. Peps and I had the discussion there about this talking point, and basically came to the same conclusion. There is a amount of fans that, for whatever reason, got into the House of Torture act, and there are. I mean, it's fun to follow. I guess it's an act that is so over the top that you can follow it ironically. You know, I see that. I see that a lot. I mean, I see that a lot. And that was one of my takeaways that I had too when I watched these final stretches, that there are fans in the attendance that just have fun with this act and boo and cheer and do their stuff.
Well, is that the case though, or was that for this one particular night against a person they absolutely did not want to see win?
Yes,
because that didn't happen in any other matches.
In no other match happened before. Exactly. Not in the Tanahashi match. Not in any match before that. This was a very specific night, and I can't remember a G1 Climax final with such a reaction. But
yeah, okay. Like, it's a very simple explanation for all of this. They had two guys that nobody wanted to see win in the final, and nobody came to see the show. I wonder why that correlates. You know,
I wanted to add on that because it's the second time now in this year that they had this kind of reaction, where the planned reaction completely backfired, and I don't know what it takes for them to admit that, because I mean, it's the evidence and the reaction is there. It's nothing that you cannot see. What does it take for them to see that what their laid out plan is not working to the extent that they want to achieve?
Well, and that's the question that needs to be asked. Like, I think we deserve and I guess we can only speculate on this, but what, in all honesty and reality, what is the sell for them to do this and what they do? Because clearly, like you said, the metrics do not support it. Like that's an unquestionable fact. The reactions don't really support it. I mean, people are going to point to this match that if they have a certain agenda, but the reality is if it was someone else, it wouldn't have happened this way. Like,
yeah, there was an agenda going into this match, stemming from one of the tweets that was made by New Japan Pro Wrestling going into the final show, where it was the graphics of Evil versus Takeshita, and people pointed out that the Japanese fans all rallied behind Evil under this tweet. So, of course, that happened. That did happen. That there was a lot of support for Evil. It
was more like 60-40.
Comments of this tweet. Yes, there was a lot of support, and that's where it begins. First of all, that's Twitter. You know, Twitter is wherever you go in the world. Twitter is, of course, a bubble. It's a bubble of hardcore fans that rally behind their specific entity of entertainment. And then, like you said, it was more like 60-40, and that's what occurred in the building as well. There were lots of cheers for Evil, but very early on in the match, there was a giant Takeshita call. I mean, what you could call a giant.
Yeah, there wasn't a giant reaction for anyone, if we're being honest.
There was a Takeshita call. There was a Takeshita call.
Yeah, there was.
Right at the beginning of the match, which laid the ground for what happened later in the match.
Yeah, he actually kind of won him over at certain points. When he did something awesome, like, because he's a freaking insanely talented guy.
Wrestler. Yeah. And there weren't parts calls for Evil, and the fans have now come to the terms that they do this loud Evil cheer whenever he goes for his finishing move, the STO that he calls the Evil, which is kind of fun. That's what I'm saying about this act. It's not like anybody's taking this really seriously. They are having fun with it. But that is really not what you would want for your G1 Climax final, and that is really not what you would want for your main event guy going forward, for any main event guy going forward. But that goes to a bigger overarching talking point that we have had in basically every single show this year, and specifically when we talked about All Japan Pro Wrestling, that in this day and age in Japanese pro wrestling, it can go up and down the promotions. It doesn't really matter what promotion you go to. Every guy can be a main event guy or a comedy geek. That's what we're at right now at this stage in Japanese pro wrestling. And it reflects on engagement, it reflects on ticket sales, it reflects on the state of companies, that this is not a way that you're going to get attendances higher up. There is a certain demand or a big demand, I want to say. There is a big demand for a product that takes itself seriously, while, of course, always leaning into comedic elements. But these comedic elements, at certain points, have taken so far over that they overarch shows. When you look at reactions, for example, for the Yuya Uemura and Roy Oiwa match in Kurikan Hall, people loved that match. And I loved that match. It is a match that I said at the point when it happened, it reminded me of the Oiwa and Kiyomiya match in 2024. And it also reminded me to what happened to Kiyomiya after the match, because they treat him like a fucking geek after that match. But people want to see that. People want to see that kind of wrestling. And there would have been guys in this tournament that could have lived up to this expectation. But they chose differently. Once again, they chose an outsider to represent in the finals, and they chose their, what can you really call Evil? They chose their one card that they think they have left to be in the finals instead of the guys that they claimed 2 years ago would be the next generation. Right before the G1 Climax, they claimed that Toyoda Tsuji, Shota Umino, and Ren Narita would be the Reiwa New Musketeers. Of course, this has been dropped over the last year or so. Nobody was really talking about them as the Reiwa 3 anymore, specifically because Narita was turned heel. But after that, nothing really happened to the extent that you can say that any of these are viewed as main event guys by the company, which they should, but they are not. And we once again have a guy from the outside in Takeshita going and winning and getting main event spots over those guys that really should lead the way, whatever you think about them, when you compare them to the generation of Okada or Naito or Tanahashi.
So, what was your takeaway from this tournament and this final afterwards? Really, so
from the tournament,
yeah,
I thought it was a very middling tournament. There were certain parts of it that made it really feel like a G1 Climax, of course, when it came to the end of the block stages. I, for example, thought that Finlay and Uemura had a good match to end off the block, not an outstanding match. I did think that the final, Takeshita and Evil, that really got awesome in the final minutes because it was about the final match of this tournament, and they really, really got going. I love that. But that is something that didn't happen too often in this tournament, in my opinion. I often just sat there watching these matches and just feeling nothing for a lot of these matches with a lot of these guys because deep down you know that, yeah, I mean, Roy Oiwa is not making the finals. Ren Narita is not making the finals. Yoshihashi is not making the finals. Yoshihashi is one of those that still gets you to feel something through the matches because he has such awesome fighting spirit. But then there's guys like El Fantasma or Great Okan, where I just think, okay, it's just not what I think the G1 Climax is all about, and it's hard for me to really invest heavily into this.
I was pretty surprised, I have to say, when we put up that tweet and I was asking people what they thought about the tournament.
Yeah.
A vast majority of people had positive ratings for the tournament.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was surprised too.
Like, most people went at least 6. You know, and there was a few that went 8. You know, it's like 7 and 8 and stuff. There were some that went lower, of course. But like I said, to me, this has to be one of the worst tournaments, just purely from an in-ring quality that they've ever played.
If you compare this tournament to tournaments from the era of 2014 to 2019, there is absolutely no way that you can come to the conclusion that this was an 8 out of 10 tournament.
And you don't even have to compare. To me, those tournaments stand alone. I've always said that. I remember when, you know, in the early days of us on this show talking about the G1s back then, that in general, there were a lot of guys that would come in and maybe have one big match in the tournament. And for a lot of their matches, they would take a lot of nights off. And I mean IWGP champion level people that we're talking about. Not Tanahashi, of course. But like, there were a lot of people like that. And a lot of the tournaments weren't like... It's not like every single tournament was like this unbelievable like foray, but they stood their ground on their own. This one really doesn't. Like, if you look at it. So when I was doing all those statistics, you know, I looked at things. Do you know? And yeah, don't look it up. Just right off the top of your head, how many matches from block play, from the final block play, not counting the final or the semifinal, which the final didn't even get it anyway. But how many matches total in this tournament among every single participant had at least an 8 score or higher?
Oh, I think we're in the single digits for that. I would say 8.
6.
Okay, I'm close.
6 matches in 16 nights. That really kind of stood out to the people, you know, in the majority. Strigga, there were times Ishii had at least 6 8 out of 10s on his own in prior tournaments.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But again, but that stands on its own. Like, that is the quality everything should be judged by. Not like, okay, we have to grade this new generation on this curve to make them see better when they're actually not.
You're right. To an extent that it's unfair, that is correct, yes.
Because this tournament doesn't hold up to tournaments from 20 years ago. You know, like the 2003 tournament was so much better than this could ever dream of being, and for so many reasons.
There are various reasons.
And like I said, like, I don't think it's wrong to just say this tournament just wasn't very good on its own. Like, you don't have to compare it to anything. 6 great matches in 16 nights, 5 matches a show, and some of them had 10 matches a show. That's not good enough, you know. And the wrestlers deserve blame for that. Like, the booking is bad, and I 100% agree with that. Like, there's nobody who's... Gato, to me, is all... And crew. It's not just Gato, but the people that are booking New Japan.
Yeah.
I was down on them 9 years ago. Like, when everyone else was saying they were great. They were setting the stage for things to go how they went, with how they were booking 7, 8 years ago.
It's definitely... That's one of the things that Flosh also pointed out when we had a discussion in the Cage Match Discord. This is not anything that came overnight.
Yeah.
You could see this coming... I think the latest that you could see this coming was 2019. I think you can start in 2018. And what happened over the last couple of years, I don't know where the feeling comes from that this is getting any kind of better, because it's the same booking patterns over and over again that has led us to this, and that has led us to this worst attended G1 Climax final in history, except for the one in the pandemic.
Yeah, and again, it's like, but why should it be any different? Ultimately, like the fact that it was so lowly attended, I would have told you that if you had told me Evil was going to be in the final.
I totally expected that when I saw what the final was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you had told me at the start of the tournament Evil's in the final, I'd be like, oh, well, that's not going to be very good, in terms of attendance. Funnily enough, for all of the negativity surrounding Takeshita, a lot of his main events were some of the better numbers of this tournament in terms of block play. Coincidentally,
that is yeah. It's really fascinating. So I didn't particularly think that when you I gotta rephrase this. When I'm thinking about Konosuke Takeshita in 2025, I'm thinking about one of the absolute best professional wrestlers in the world.
Yes.
And I think that may sound weird, but I think he lost some of his magic throughout this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't think that when I think about his potential, I didn't think that he had the tournament that I was expecting him to have. There were matches that I thought were good, but I thought that they were lacking something because of what I know that this guy is capable of. So when coming out of this tournament, for me personally, Takeshita still is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but I don't know. I expected more from him. And that is weird. But that is what the tournament can do in parts. And yes, like you said, there is a certain disconnect with him. There is a big chunk of people that really want to see him, but then there is also people that call him as an outsider and don't want to see the guy. It's a weird choice overall, but we've said it. I think it's something that we said at the beginning of the year, that this is the guy that they will probably pick because they don't have the confidence in any of their others.
I predicted him to win the tournament before the tournament.
So. Yeah, me too. So that.
Yeah, so this was no surprise. This stuff was no shock to me. I know some people took it this way, but I totally thought they were going to do it, and I think he was the right choice. Like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I don't think they're wrong for not believing in this current generation. They're wrong for not even trying, because you should try with somebody, And I mean, they even with Umino,
Dylan, and with that, we can go to Umino in a minute, but that's the key there. They are not even trying, and we now are once again in this state where I think Takeshita is not on the cards for the next tour.
Right.
So we are once again in this stage that there will be a lot of talk by guys like Yota Tsuji or Shota Umino, or maybe Yuya Uemura. Shingo Takagi will of course lead the charge because he always talks a lot of trash. There once again will be the time that a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling roster members talk about what they will do when Konosuke Takeshita returns and how they will beat him up. And in the end, Takeshita is just going to win the world title, and all of the others will just stand there and look and applaud, like they always do. It's a similar pattern to what happened when Jon Moxley was champion. All the young guys came up and said, "I want to regain the championship for New Japan Pro Wrestling," and in the end, it was Naito who did it.
Right.
It's the same pattern all over again, and they are not even trying with these guys to get to a level where they would be taken seriously as main event talent.
Right. And I mean, I do wish that they would do better. I do think they could do better. I definitely wouldn't have somebody do a knockout finish in the semifinal of the one guy who actually seems like he's showing star power.
Yeah, that was very unique too, because fans wanted this to be a real thing. They wanted this to be a real knockout because they couldn't, for the life of them, explain themselves why Evil would win this match. And it was so very obvious that this was a planned finish. There was
absolutely.
nobody inside or outside the ring was in shock about this finish. Evil was not in shock. The ref called it like it was just a regular finish. Nobody from the outside came in to check on Yuta Tsuji. There was no doctor. There was nobody that gave you the idea that this guy had a concussion. He wrestled on the next day. So
yeah, yes, exactly. So yeah, like that's all right. That's a point that got eradicated 1 day later, pretty much. But I do agree with you that people wanted it to be real, just to try and justify this final in their mind. But there again, it shouldn't have even gotten this far, in so many ways.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about Shota Umino?
No, it wasn't Umino specifically. I'm saying he was the one they've probably given the most to, but even him, they don't. It's not like they've really given him a lot. Like
no,
and
the match against Yuratsuji proved that. The fans rallied behind Yuratsuji. Shota Umino had his moments in the match where the fans were behind him, but overall, it was a very, very clear message to anyone watching that Shota Umino, yes, he is a dude that we will support from time to time, but when it comes to picking a guy that has to lead this promotion forward, it should be Yuta Tsuji.
And just even then, again, they haven't done as well as they could have with anybody. There's no doubt about that.
No.
Takeshita, in his tournament, I think it's kind of hard to ask him to do more than what he did. I mean, him versus Shingo, to me, was the best match of the tournament.
Yeah, nothing else comparison.
And like that was one of the few times, along with Yoshihashi and Zack, where I was like, okay, this is what the G1 is about.
I want to say that, like I said, I called out before the Oiwa versus Uemura match.
And that was a very strong match as well. Yeah.
Yes. I thought that match came close too.
Takeshita and Shingo was the best match in the tournament. He had Zack's two Zack matches, which were both really strong. Yep. I don't think either were like spectacular, but I thought they were. I was
just going to ask, what did you think about the semifinal one?
The thing is, I think that the semifinal was better than the tournament version. But it still wasn't as good as the Shingo match. Overall, I would say. Yeah. But those two really, I thought, were the standout performers of the tournament. But they were also the two that had the most time. If you look at, again, my statistics.
That's right.
Takeshita and Zack had by far the most time in their matches. A block was like, even the top people were not as big as the B block people by a pretty good distance in terms of time spent in the ring and time spent for their matches. And that's always something I look at personally, and something I look at when I see because it kind of signifies who they trust to carry long matches. As great as I think Yoshihashi is, they don't see him in that light. And that's why even his biggest matches weren't put in main spotlights, unfortunately. But with Takeshita and Zack, they do. And again, I wouldn't say that. It wouldn't be my call in a lot of ways. But Takeshita, like when he's put in there with the right people, he did great. Am I going to penalize him for not getting the best out of Drilla Maloney and Great Okan? Not really, to be honest. But yeah, there were some downers in there for sure that he went with. The tournament final, in addition to it being them, because right away that's worthy of being criticized between the two. On both ends, really, but especially Evil. But let's say, you for whatever reason, the government has secretly mandated Evil and Takeshita must be in the final, and you have no option other than to put this together. How they did it also failed the performers. It's not just wins and losses, it's also how they present people and make them look terribly. So in this case, and this is why a guy that is so great that he can get a legitimate match out of a guy who's been one of the worst wrestlers in the world. You get fans trying to turn their back on him. So what they should have done, you have two ways to go about this final if you're going to go to it, okay? The first is, And this is something we saw here. And what I would have done, you could have either had him start off with being like, denounce. None of the AEW stuff should come into play because that's a toxic brand to the Japanese fans at this point.
Yes.
You know, like there should be nothing about AEW in anything he does. He should be selling the fact that he is a New Japan player, and that is his top company, his top priority. Every time he main events a show, he's saying, "I'm going to bring this company back. And like I need the fans to do it with me and rally behind me. These are my people and my fans, and I'm going to represent."
That's basically what he said afterwards.
That's what he said. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Like that was the right thing to do. Or what he could do, have him say, "I am not a New Japan pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
This company sucks. I represent AEW. I am going to win this trophy and this IWGP title, and I'm going to tear down this lion mark to shreds and rebuild it in my image." You can either just lean into it, say you hate this company, I'm a true heel, like no sense of likability, no promo saying you like DDT, nothing like that. None of the stuff he said in the tournament, which is what like he's trying to show people something they've never seen. None of that. He needs to say, screw this lion mark, screw the fans, screw this company, and then go into the final that way. And you could really get some heat behind him for real going forward. Whereas what they actually did was he largely portrayed an outsider heel character in the tournament with occasional moments of working as a babyface. Which we saw, for example, in the match against Okan, which I think personally, when I watch him, and I've watched him in DDT and AEW, and I saw this guy get super over with a foreign crowd with no knowledge of him, basically as an enhancement talent, like the first times he started watching DDT. I think Takeshita is a fantastic heel player, but I think he's a best in the world level babyface wrestler. And we haven't seen that in a long time, other than brief moments. Unfortunately, the way they used him by having him be in between during the tournament, you got no gains from it. Like, what is his motivation? What was his motivation going into the final against the Evil? What did he do in the tournament that gave him a storyline arc? Like, even his whole time in New Japan, he's been a nothing character. You know, like his whole style.
He's basically been slotted in the never role for a long time.
Yeah, and he's not been treated like he should have.
That's a certain role where you get to put in the position where fans know, of course, yes, those are the wrestlers that have the great matches. But other than that, that's it.
That's a match. That's a position for someone like Bolton Oleg. You know, right now, like he's a perfect guy to hold that title. Mm-hmm. Like that's not for the top champion of the company. And they've, like I said, they've given us no reason. If you're a New Japan fan, they've given you no reason at all to invest in this man. And the fact that he represents AEW is automatically going to turn a lot of the core fan base off.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of that is due to what they've done to the company, and you can argue they've played a big role in things being how they are right now.
That of course goes back to the talking point that we had earlier. There has to be a certain amount. We can look into the minds of the Japanese fans. Of course, we are just assuming at points, but there is some evidence that we can go to. Some of the core fans, like you said, Dominion was one of those points probably, but over the course of the last couple of years, of course, too, there has to be some of the core fans that have left this company behind, because this company is not presenting them with the kind of wrestling, the kind of product that they want to see. And the fans that we have left are, of course, hardcore wrestling fans and hardcore New Japan fans that will rally behind what they will get and what the company has for them. And that's what led us to this flash in the pan moment here in the G1 Climax final, where fans suddenly became fans of Evil. And now, Dylan, there is a big talking point too, that Evil was so popular on this one night that the company should turn him babyface. What do you think about that?
I mean, I wouldn't mind if you're gonna like do something with this House of Torture Act and like change it, because like that's really my criticism of them more than anything else, is that they just do the same stuff they've been doing for years, which was the same stuff Bullet Club was doing for years before that.
It's not the same. It's basically 3 or 4 times the thing that Bullet Club did.
I mean, Bullet Club had some pretty outrageous matches. I mean, again, I think the biggest comp to this final that we just saw is the Jay White and Ibushi final, which had a mountain of interference. And for the record, I thought this was in all honesty, I thought this match was a much better version of the Jay and Ibushi match. I do have to say.
I will agree with that. I liked it better.
Yeah, I just in terms of execution, I think it was a lot better done. And it rallied behind what the crowd was going for, where they actually did have them have a bit of a showdown at the end, which the other match was just sucked, in my opinion. I know some people liked it because of the crowd reaction.
Yes, I did.
But in terms of
back in the day, but when you compare it to the execution, this one, I mean, it's Takeshita. It's
exactly. Yeah.
It's a guy that is able to, when you present him with an idea, he will run with it and he will be great at it.
And again, this match could have been executed so much better in the build-up to it. Like, if this is what they really desperately wanted to do, like, they could have gotten here in a way where you gotta either all of the crowd was on Evil's side, or the fans were 90-10 behind Takeshita. Like, you could have gotten either of those options. Instead, we got an in-between moment where, you know, people are saying because Evil got a big reaction at moments, that means we should turn him babyface.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is him in a lot of ways to me. Like, I just don't see him as any kind of main event player, no matter what he does or what his style is. But I get the need for a heel group.
Mm-hmm.
I just think this one is incredibly stale, and I think they would be wise to change it.
It's not the group on its own. It's something that I really hated throughout this tournament, that no one in this company is smart enough to understand what the House of Torture is doing. Or they don't want any assistance, which would be even more stupid, to be quite honest. But no babyface in this company has a grasp of what can be done to prevent the House of Torture to doing what they do.
Well, and that is their fatal flaw, because ultimately them as a group, it makes every single person watching and every wrestler they go against and the referees look stupid.
Exactly.
Except for when you magically need the referee to set up a showdown in the G1 final, and suddenly he can kick them all out of the ring. There.
Yes, but even then, the moment in which the referee in the semifinal kicked. Was it? I think in the semifinal it was. I think it was Dick Turgo that was kicked to the ground by the referee, Kenta Sato. But even that did not lead to a valiant face comeback.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like my whole point is, like, the fact they did it on the final is even dumber, considering all the times that nothing could have been done for it. Ultimately, including the semifinal, and not just the semifinal, also the Tanahashi match was the same way. So it's like, and every match is the same way. So why is it suddenly it's okay in this one magical Takeshita match that you could suddenly do this? Why can't you do that in every single match?
Nobody is able to come out in the G1 Climax block final, but
which Zach did in the final. Like,
Zach came out.
So what happened? Yeah. So why isn't this happening in every single match?
Yeah.
You have to dumb yourself down. To enjoy this.
Dylan, no babyface has friends ever.
Until you magically need them to in the Booker's mind, then they suddenly have people that will help you out. Yes. You know, so again, like, there's no value in this group, in my opinion. Like, just on its value. Like, to me, they're not even a comedic group. Like, most of the time, they're meant to be dastardly heels. Every time you hear the announcers going crazy, oh my god, oh my god, yeah, damn him, damn that dick, and all that.
Dylan, that who in their right mind can take this one as a serious heel act?
My worst, and I'm not trying to criticize him, because I'm a big fan of him as a commentator, and I thought he did an excellent job this whole tournament with all the revolving door of people, and some people didn't want to talk that much on commentary, to be honest. that came in. You know, some people were good, but some of them, it's not even that they were bad per se, they just didn't want to talk a lot. unfortunately, for whatever reason. But when they get in the Tanahashi and Evil match, I'm sorry, man. And I'm sorry, brother, if you're listening to this. But when he came out and said, we've all been fooled by Evil, I was thinking, what? Who wasn't expecting this? Like, who wouldn't expect this, Walker? Come on, man. You need to portray some credibility on yourself, brother. Now, nobody thought anything different was going to happen. And that's another thing. I predicted, I had one of my all-time great years in terms of predictions. If you followed along in the Patreon, you know that. I predicted every finalist right, with the exception of Gabe Kidd being out. And that led to Zach making it. And the way they did it, I would have predicted everything right if we had done a full redo of the predictions halfway through the tournament. Because I thought basically what was going to happen would happen. That they would like rally behind. I thought for sure Takeshita was going to win. And I think a big part of that is that they hope that he does make them his number one option next year, and he could be that guy to bridge. Really, all of this doesn't matter. Like, all of these third-generation guys, the fact that they don't believe him, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of too late already. They care about Aaron Wolf. Like, that's who matters going forward. All of this is just time wasting until we get to him.
You could see how high the demand for a guy to take the lead of this company is when I translated the comments from Yuda Tsuji, where he once again, it's not the first time that he made these comments, once again said that he wants to bring back the old IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Not the World Championship, but the old IWGP Heavyweight Championship, where the IC title was not included. People were going crazy over that comment.
Why?
Because they wanted that to happen. Because they want
that's not gonna happen.
They want a guy like Yoda Tsuji to be successful and to go back to the glory days of the company. Because everybody knows that this IWGP World Heavyweight Championship sucks.
All right, let me ask you this. Besides Takeshita, who won and is in line for a title shot, we can talk about if he's gonna win it or not, I suppose.
You're gonna win it.
I'm not convinced of that, honestly. Like, I think there's a chance that all of this... My prediction at the very start of this tournament was that Takeshita would win, Zach would retain in October, and Goto would come out afterwards.
I mean, it's something that can happen.
And there's no choice. If Takeshita's winning, who does he face at the Dome?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
There's no option. Like, at that point, it takes two people to make a main event at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could pull something out of there. Naito could come out at the end of the main event, and they bring him back to face Takeshita.
The Zack and Goto match is the only match that writes itself.
Yeah.
I'm still, I don't know. They have the evidence of Zack being champion last year for the stretch of the Tokyo Dome, so I'm not sure if they want to do that again.
And they have the evidence going into the G1 as well, but they did it anyway.
I know.
I wonder, too, how much they... I mean, again, nobody loves Tana more than me. But he didn't draw in this tournament. And he was really the main character going in.
And that is really a bad call, or that's really a bad sign when we are going into his retirement match in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. And that's what suddenly makes me a little worried, because the talking point going into this Dome show was like, oh man, Tanahashi's retirement, Aaron Wolf coming in, Goto's killing it as champion, this Dome show is gonna rule and do 40,000 fans. Now Goto's outside the championship picture. Tana seems like his drawing power is waning big, even though his retirement show should, by all intents, be a huge deal. Like, I'm pretty confident that will work. And they've muddied the waters, like, with this G1 winner that a lot of the native fans don't want. So, all of the things they had, the layups they had going into the Dome, seem like they're dissolving right before our eyes. So that's very interesting. But the point I was going to make you, besides Takeshita, who gained anything from this tournament?
Nobody did really, and that's
I don't think
where,
a single person is higher on the card than they were going.
that's where I was going with my talking point about the entire scene in Japan. When you look at the final block standings of this tournament, so I got to scroll down here to actually find it. The ones on the bottom still had 8 points. Taichi had 6. Is this one guy who had 6 points, but most of the competitors had 8 or 10 points. That tells you once again, this is not anything new, but that tells you once again that there are lots of guys on this roster that are on the same level, and you can see it in their booking patterns every single year. Where a guy like David Finlay, for example, he will start the tournament out with a lot of losses. He will throw his temper tantrum that he had, but then he will come back and win a lot of matches.
Yeah,
there are
I
others that win early on. there are others that win early on that will drop off. It always happens. And there is this one guy who has 14 points in the tournament every single year, but it's still not that much better than a guy that ends up with 10 because he lost to one of those guys that ended up with 10 in Renarita. So it's a roster of people that are on a very similar level, where you feel that, okay, every now and then one of them gets chosen to go to the top, have a short run, and go back. Thing is that rarely ever happens. It's usually the same guys that get the attention. And even with Konosuke Takeshita, he now won the tournament, but he already was so much further ahead than anyone else in this tournament that it's hard to say if he really gained anything from this.
No, he gained in the canon of New Japan because we just talked about it. He was basically a mid-card player, and now he's going for the belt. No, everyone else is just mid-card players at this point. And we have a champion that could not draw, and bless them for even trying with Zach again, but it's time to give it up. Hopefully with that soon. And the rest of these guys, they've just got a long way to go, man. I feel like.
With Tanahashi, Dylan, you said it before with the Tokyo Dome coming up. You've brought up the talking point earlier this year and late last year, I think, that you wanted Tanahashi to have a standalone Tokyo Dome show for his retirement instead of his retirement being on January 4.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like that?
Again, the evidence in this G1 is not pointing to that being correct, to be honest.
Do you think they? It's hard to phrase this question. Do you think they did it because they didn't think he would draw a Tokyo Dome on his own?
I don't know. Again, like at the time, I was shocked that they didn't give him his own Muto like retirement dome show. But again, it's hard when you see. Again, he's had multiple chances. Like he had the Gabe Kidd match, which also bombed before the tournament, in the main event, and a lot of that I think again too, a lot of that is who he's wrestling.
Yes,
I don't think we can just say Tanahashi is killing the crowd. It's like these other guys are not stars.
No, man, it would have been so interesting to have Gabe Kidd in this tournament because of how the crowd would react to him.
Yeah, I think he's about over. Like in New Japan, like his 15 minutes have expired in New Japan. I think he will be in AEW sooner rather than later.
And that once again got such a bad reaction from the fans that he is now announced for this cage match for Forbidden Door after he was out of the G1 due to injury.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't care about New Japan.
No. I'm not saying that, but it plays into how fans reacted to him all over in this year.
Yeah, I mean,
ever since he went to AEW.
Yeah, I got because, like I said, people were buying into what he was saying at first, like for the first couple of months. After the Death Riders thing, I said that at the time. I said this months ago. Like that was it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube after that. Like, that was it. We saw it at Dominion. The crowd died on him. It wasn't even like visceral hatred. It just died. Like, they don't want to see this guy. Like, he's not a drawing heel. Like, and that's the problem with a lot of these House of Torture people. Like, they don't want to pay to see these people. Like, that's not an effective heel. Ultimately. And like I said, that would be something I would consider doing, actually. Like, if I were in charge of New Japan, and especially you could have Tanahashi be the figurehead for this heading into, and I don't think they're going to do it because there's too much they need in terms of the American side. But if they want to really make a splash with the Japanese fans, I would have Tanahashi come out and say, our working agreement with AEW is completely finished. Like, it is a clean cut. We will not have any of our wrestlers on their shows going forward, and we will not take any of their wrestlers from them. And I think that would get a lot of goodwill from the Japanese fans because they're such a toxic brand. They've been so predatory about New Japan, and they've just wreaked havoc on the Japanese wrestling scene.
Yes.
And the fans, they know that. Like, the Japanese fans are not ignorant to this, people. Like, they know what's going on. And again, I'm not even necessarily...
It's almost like they are the evil empire over in Japan.
Well, they are. Like, they've done so much damage. And I don't blame them for that necessarily. Like, they had every reason to want most of these guys on their roster. That's a fact of the business and the fact of the economy, ultimately. And again, that's why I don't think New Japan will do this, because they also need inroads into America for the almighty dollar overall. But if they want to really protect the native fans, just clean break it, man. Like, just cut that off. Make a statement to the fans. Say, we're going back to our roots. The problem is...
that could happen? What's the worst that could happen if they did that?
They would lose their inroads to America, which is going to prevent this from happening. In reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I meant for the product itself. What's
the product would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I guess the only difference would be if they said Takeshita couldn't work for them anymore. Like,
but would that be something that would hurt business?
I guess we'll find out. If he does a good number against Zack Sabre Jr., guess who drew that building? Like, as much as a lot of Western fans are trying to demonize Takeshita right now, if that number is big, then that's gonna answer a lot of questions. I mean, I don't think it will be, not necessarily even because of him, but I think the whole company. I mean, there's just not. I will say this. The one positive thing, again, and I actually liked the final well enough. I don't think it was a great match, but I thought it was, again, better than some finals, not even just Jay and Ibushi, but the Sonata final they had. There was some really garbage finals, and one that ended in a tragic injury, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right.
There's been a lot of bad G1 finals over the last 5 or 6 years, to be honest with you. Like, stuff that isn't worthy of that title. And I didn't come away from this thinking it was that level of bad. And on top of it,
I mean, Dylan, lots of these evil matches haven't been so drastically bad like the cage match comments imply. Like, for example,
bad.
Yeah, but the Evil and Yonatsuji match is not a 2.92 match. It's a very bad match, but I mean, it was not that bad.
I mean, I would rate it 0 personally. Like,
you would rate it 0. I would not.
Yeah,
I think between 4 and 5.
I think there's no positives to his matches.
No,
and how he wrestles.
For me, for example, this one was a very flat match with the very same shtick that we always get, but it's a shtick that they know how to do, and it's just nothing that I care about, but it's nothing that I feel at this point is offensively bad anymore. So I can't rate it that low.
Okay, that's you, but that doesn't, like, if you're grading it as a match, it's clearly disgraceful. Like, in my opinion, like, that's great that you don't care about it anymore. I wish that we could all reach your level of Zen, Strigga. But if you watch it as a match, it's clearly preposterous. Like, and on top of it, it insults my intelligence to watch it, which makes it even worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that is a great point, of course. Yes.
You know the match I liked of his? I thought him and Sonata had a really fun match because they leaned into it being a joke. Like they didn't even have a pretense of it being serious.
That's when the House of Torture works the best.
Okay, but it really doesn't.
Yes, it
again.
Does. Yes, it
okay,
does.
it works. It works. It makes it a 3 out of 10 match instead of a 0. That doesn't mean it actually works. Again, you're grading stuff on a curve here. I feel like.
No, it works when it's a joke on a lower level of the card, but it's not working when it's on a high level of the card.
But it's not about what part of the card it's on. It's that they at least did something different. Like, that doesn't necessarily make it good. It's that they at least did a different style of match than they always do.
Nah, not really. Not really.
How many times did we see Kanemaru run in with a referee shirt on?
I mean, we have seen Dick Togo running with the referee shirt on. It's not really that they did anything differently. I think that happened.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. I know that they ring the bell a lot. That happened 20 times in this tournament. I know the lights have went out a bunch of times. I know Dick Togo's choked people with his garage.
Dick Togo ref thing happened, but I'm not 100% sure. It might have not.
Okay, well then they did something different.
It's still not a new heel shtick. It's a heel shtick that has been done in Japanese wrestling before, or in wrestling in general.
I don't know. Well, like I said, it felt like something fresh, at least to me, rather than what they did in every other match. But I thought that was at least not.
It sticks out because it's a little bit different from the usual formula.
And that's what I'm saying. like that's exactly what I'm saying. And that doesn't make the match good, but it makes it a little bit less bad than it was before.
Yeah. And my only point is it's fun when it's an undercard comedic shtick. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Okay, that's fine. Like you can say that. But I also can't blame people for rating his matches super low.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And honestly, okay, who cares about this anyway? Like Evil is where he was before. Like maybe they'll change him. Maybe they won't.
No, they won't.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Like nothing ever changes in this company. Nothing changes.
Yeah, exactly. So regardless of all that, so we've agreed that nobody gained anything from the tournament.
Yes.
Pretty much outside of maybe Takeshita.
And I'm not even sure about that. If he gained it.
And as I say, he very well could. That show could totally bomb with him as the main event. Like it totally could.
They made sure after the G1 Climax in his interview to have him say, I'm quoting this here.
Okay.
That's Takeshita saying, "If I were a fan, I would have gone into the match thinking I'm not going to cheer for Evil," he recalls continuing. What I found interesting was that when the Evil chants started, the Takeshita chants also started. And the fans were kind of fighting each other. The fact that the chants erupted regardless of babyface or heel, outsiders or affiliations, might have been a hint that pro wrestling is going to get more interesting from here on out. In terms of the chemical reaction I want to create in a match, this was a match where I was able to find one answer I've been searching for, Takeshita said with a smile. And he also said after the tournament here, I'm affiliated with New Japan, but I don't mind being an outsider because it's more fun that way. I don't mind if the homegrown wrestlers think they don't do squats or push-ups in the New Japan dojo like we do. But on the other hand, I have had experiences that you don't. I have my own pride, and the homegrown wrestlers have their own pride. If I can bring that out in the fight, then it will be worthwhile for me. So they made sure for Takeshita to have an explanation to what happened on this final night. And we will see what that leads to when he will eventually face Zack Sabre Jr. and we're guessing at King of Pro Wrestling in October.
Yeah, and what does any of that mean? That stuff he was saying.
Yes.
Like analyze it line by line and really think about what he's saying. What is he talking about when you read that?
It's what these guys always talk about. They talk about some imaginary thing that is eventually not going to happen. Wait a sec. For example, here, this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like with Yurasuji. He's talking about some imaginary stuff that will eventually not come to fruition.
Yeah, like I said, it was all wrong for what the kind of promo I think he should have personally, but
Wait a second, I'm searching for this January 4 comment. That is also very vague. So, is it here, January 4? Ah, yeah, here. There's another really vague comment on January 4 from Takeshita. I want to take the genre of professional wrestling to a higher level. January 4th is the biggest tournament in Japan, so I want to take it to even greater heights. I want to make this Tokyo Dome, where Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement match is also scheduled, a turning point, and I feel like I have to stand on January 4 as champion. That's, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, he had been saying that about taking stuff to a higher level throughout the tournament. Like before, like that was kind of his talking point heading into the, finals and all that stuff. So, again, that's cool.
I want to stand as champion and start a revolution there.
Yeah. Okay. Again, there's nothing for me to really be too emotionally invested in any of that stuff he said, to be honest. But we'll see. Again, his calling card is going to be his wrestling. Like, if he's going to win people over, that's going to be how he does it, ultimately.
Hopefully. I
don't think he's going to do
that, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think this main event against Zach, I'm not very confident in it doing a great number. But I do think it's possible, at least. And again, if it does, that would at least, like, really prove. And again, he did some of the better numbers throughout the tournament, like Takeshita did in the main event. Like, that needs to be said.
After this reaction for Evil, there will for sure be a big Evil match on King of Pro Wrestling as well. Presumably once again against Tanahashi, I think.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening, to be honest.
That's going to happen. And whatever else is there, we have still Get Kid with the global title.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll wrap that up soon. What did you think about Yuto Ice?
Oh yeah, Oscar Loibe and Yuto Nakashima returned as the Knockout Brothers. They attacked Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii and are challenging for the IWGP Tag Team title now. I was for a long time wondering in what role Oscar Loibe and Yuto Nakashima would even fit into this company. And I guess this is as good as anyone could have predicted. I'm not too thrilled about that, but how would you have put these guys back into this roster?
I just love, and I told this to on Twitter. I love that PG-13. One of my trainers, Wolfie D, is a wrestler, and someone who I have so many stories about. In JC Ice, the original Ice in wrestling, are influencing New Japan. In 2025. And I know for a fact Wolfie doesn't even like Japanese. So I think that it's hilarious that these guys are doing this kind of gimmick in 2025. This, like,
he looks hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, these kind of like rapper type of gimmick, I guess, but like somebody who doesn't know anything about hip hop would think rappers are like. Oscar, I mean, he kind of reminds me of me, to be honest, with the hair and the look and everything. He let his hair grow out. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this at all. But like you said, it could have been worse, in all honesty. Yeah. The Knockout Brothers is an okay name. I don't think it fits them as a stylistically. Like, though.
We'll see how they tackle this act.
Yeah, maybe he has like a punch finish. Like, they give Oscar like a right hand blow. Okay, they can make that work. Like I said, the Knockout Brothers is a good name.
I mean, Oscar could do a big boot.
Yeah, big boot. That's
incredible.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I like these guys as talents. Like, that's the thing. I like all of these people as talents. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're all good. In the ring. It's just, they don't... How are you going to take these guys seriously as anything, like any kind of star player in this gimmick?
Yeah, I mean, they told you right away they are going for the tag team title, and they are the new sidekicks for David Finlay in the War Dogs.
And again, that's a fine role.
It's a fine role. No, sure.
What about Taichi? All the love that was thrown upon him throughout the earlier part of the tournament, and everyone's saying they need to push him. Do you still have confidence that that's going to happen?
No, I mean, I would have had a singles match for him in the on some of these shows, but they clearly haven't had that in the plans going in, so that's where we are.
If he wrestles like King of Pro Wrestling, I think that'll be a win for him. Like, I think they're going to lose those tag belts, and to purgatory he will go, which is exactly where he was.
It's clearly happening because they are already setting up a Taichi and Satoshi Kojima tag team that is probably going to be wrestling in the World Tag League.
Yeah, they have a fun dynamic as like odd couple. Like they're at least playing into it. Like we don't actually like each other.
Ishii has done so well for himself. He got the hell out of there. He's wrestling in AEW, in Ring of Honor, and he's just probably having the time of his life over there.
Yeah, he's not tasked with having crazy matches or anything like that. I can't even remember the last time he wrestled a big singles match in AEW, to be honest.
A big singles match? Not really. He's getting some singles matches on Ring of Honor.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool.
Didn't he recently? But recently wrestled. Wait a sec. He did have a match where I thought. Oh yeah, he wrestled Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title. Yeah.
Oh, that match was I saw that match. That match was a great match. That was better than almost all of the G1 matches. Like, why was he not in the tournament? It's one of those head scratching moments. So with that said, I'd say this is one of those shows where we're probably going to get some comments saying, "Man, Dylan and STRIGGA, they're so negative on everything. They hate everything."
Let's go to Dylan. You made the tweet on our Eastern Lariat. Let's go to the fans' reactions. Who's the MVP? Who is the least valuable player in this tournament, according to our listeners and our followers?
Yeah, so according to the people who we love and share all of your opinions, unquestionably, like there started a controversy on here where it seemed like there was this groundswell of people saying Phantasmo was the least valuable player.
And can you fault them for that, really, Dylan?
No,
no. Look, it's what I've been saying since the beginning of the tournament, and I don't understand why the guy is in. He has had this one match that I and a lot of people thought was really good with Zack Sabre Jr., which you didn't like. But except for that, what is El Phantasmo? What is Great Okan bringing to the table that? Yeah, what are they bringing to the table that makes you think G1 Climax?
I laughed so hard when the last night of the tournament, Okada and bagging Shota in there, like in a playoff determining match, like one of the biggest matches in the tournament. Yes, it's like he can't be fucked to even. Man, he just sucks as a wrestler. Like Okada sucks as a wrestler. Phantasmo was definitely like if again, like I said, I mean I really have no problem with you liking his match at all, like better than me or other everybody liking it. Some people didn't, some people did. That's fine. That's wrestling, right? Like nobody has to like all the same things I do. But I do think we'll all agree that it wasn't that great to where we would miss him if he was gone from the tournament. If overall, if you said we're gonna take out that match, but also you don't get any of the other Phantasmo matches, I think that's a trade-off pretty much anybody would make overall. Sonata is another one that got some votes, and I think deservingly so, to be honest. Drilla, I agree with that.
Sonata is a guy that's, Jesus Christ, man. Not even 2 years ago, he was world champion.
Isn't that crazy to think about? Like that shows you this is not bad booking is not a new problem in New Japan. They looked at that guy and said he is who should be the last guy to get a big win over Okada. And should continue this title run.
I was thinking about that during some of his matches, that we had this amazing Okada moment.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said,
it tells you a lot that we don't even say that was an amazing Sonata moment, but it was an amazing Okada moment.
Well, I mean, there was only At least in my opinion, there was only so much upside to him ever. But yeah, I mean, it's that's what I'm saying. Like these are the kind of people running this company that see Sonata 2 years ago and think this is who needs to be the champion. And yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a bad pick at all. He had a really rough tournament. At least his entrance outfits were amusing, I suppose. So you can't completely write him off. But he's a good pick. I think Drilla was did not have a good tournament. He's now in the Callum spot where it's like they see something in him clearly, and he's going to get another chance next year. Let's see if he can take a step forward.
It's really a good comparison, I think. Yeah.
Except this year was worse than last year, so he's not the one everyone's pointing to, like Callum last year. Like, everyone was like, oh, this guy totally doesn't belong. Here, Drilla can kind of hide in plain sight with, like, Sonata and Evil and Okada and ELP hiding around. So, yeah, so those were the big guys there. I would say the most I saw was Phantasmo. In terms of MVP, this was a little bit more, like, interesting. Like, I think that there were a lot of different thoughts, but I think Uemura was the one that people really gravitated to among our fans. Like, people said that he was the guy. There's a lot of votes for Zach in here as well. Finley's got a couple in here. Taichi's got a couple. Takeshita's got a couple. So, yeah, it's a good mix, but I would say the overall winner would be Uemura for the fans.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think he had the most consistent performance throughout all his matches.
Number one guy in A block, according to the cage match ratings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finlay, I would say Finlay is not an MVP of this tournament. Finlay, though, is an MVP of this company.
Yes, that's a great point, Strigga. Like, that's so right what you just said. I couldn't have said that better than.
Because whenever he is put in any kind of situation, he is able to make the best out of the situation. When you looked at this block A, he was able to wrestle a compelling match with every single guy in this block. When you had him in the first half of the year in the New Japan Cup and then challenging Goto for the world title, he was great in that. And he really should be someone that gets these opportunities.
Yep.
But nope, he loses to Takeshita, and then he's out.
Yeah, and then he's another where I feel like it's kind of too late at this point. And I think that's why I don't really have the strong emotional reactions to a lot of these guys as some fans do. Is that I've already kind of thrown in the towel. Like, we're at the same point with these guys as we were with Kaito, where I kind of look like the bad guy on someone like Uemura. But it's because I know how this company works, and I know that this is not a main event person in their eyes. But I don't disrespect any of these people at all. And Finlay, I think, is a fantastic performer. Like, I think he's got everything down, and I think he's a complete guy that should be a main event player every night. Unfortunately, it's, it is what they do what they do with him, and I think we're probably going to be on that journey a little bit for a little bit longer, where he'll get a big win, and then he'll go down, and it'll be inconsistent, and they'll never get what they could have out of him. Uemura, I think it's interesting because everyone says this about him, but if you look at our stats here, that we have here on the tournament, he was the number one guy in A block, which I agree with, honestly. Like, if you were talking an A block MVP, I think you could make the case for Tsuji. I thought Tsuji had a little bit more star stuff to him, but I think Uemura was probably the better wrestler, like, in ring of the two.
Yeah, that's usually the talking point we conclude with between these two.
But even then, though, what was his number? Like, what was his overall average match rating that he had as number one player in A block?
It must be some of the 7 point something.
7.11. Like, pretty much a straight 7 out of 10. And that's who I think he is as a wrestler. Like, ultimately. Like, and that's clearly not just me. Like, that's his overall rating among hundreds of fans. So that's how I grade him as. I don't say that he had this legendary, fantastic tournament that I see as the talking point about him a lot of times. I think he had a very good tournament, and I think he still has a long way to go presentation-wise.
Yes.
Overall. So, like, 7 out of 10 wrestler, totally agree with that. Like, saying he had a fantastic, amazing tournament, I don't agree with that. I think he had a good tournament. I think Zach, honestly, as much as I also don't love his presentation, and I think he's a terrible, terrible choice as champion, it's hard for me to overlook him. Like, the quality he had. You said Uemura was the most consistent. But if you look at Zach's tournament, I mean, he made the best out of everybody. And
the most consistent in Block A I was talking about.
Yeah. And even then, like, I just think, again, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I would still say Zach would be a better MVP choice.
Yeah.
And if you want to say Uemura, that's fine. I just don't agree with it. If you do.
Yeah, I think you can make cases for both, to be quite honest. I was really so behind the Yoda Tsuji match that Uemura had, and I was behind the Roy Oyo match that he had. I thought he had great moments in this tournament that stood out to me more than anything that Zack Sabre did. Stood out to me. That may be due to habit, to seeing him wrestle in big time matches for years and years and years now. That nothing that he particularly did stood out to me in a way that I would call MVP.
I think away, I would point to the Yoshihashi match. Like, that was one of the, like, to me, that was like, if you said that was the best match of the tournament, I wouldn't fight you. Even though I would say Takeshita and Shingo.
I didn't feel it in a way that you probably did. I thought it was good, but for me, it left something to be desired.
Okay. I thought he had the best Narita match, even. Like, if you compare Zack and Narita versus... Yeah.
Yep.
Like, if you compare Zack and Narita versus Uemura versus Evil, then they're like, I think Zack blows him away. I thought Zack versus Shota was one of the best matches of the tournament. Personally. Yes. Like, and that's nobody likes Shota like anymore. But I thought that match was great. Phantasmo, we haggled on.
When you just call it down to the numbers, Zack might be the MVP.
Yeah, Okan is another one where I didn't like that much as a lot of other people. Kind of turning, like, because I remember these boring, like, Okan and Phantasmo and Drilla matches. But yeah, I mean, Uemura's up there. Like, I can't really argue it, because what you said is so true. Like, he's a much fresher person than someone like a Zack or even a Takeshita in a lot of ways, even though I thought he did good. Again, it's hard to overlook Takeshita and Shingo, like, as a big moment. And it's really hard if you compare Takeshita and Evil versus all of Evil's matches. It's really hard for me to look at that and not say, man, Takeshita's the best guy in this tournament. But yeah, Uemura had a wonderful tournament for his role. You know, Tsuji, I thought, did good. The ending was such a bad match and also a downer on top of it.
It's baffling how they treated him on the final stretch.
And he's another one
how they are bringing him back now is he's wrestling a special singles match against Finlay on Destruction in Kobe.
My only hope for that is that leads to some kind of an angle, like, and I don't know what.
What kind of angle would it be? Like,
I just said, I don't know. Like, if I had these answers, I would tell you. Well, you know something I'd like to see? What is his group? Like, are they LIJ or not?
Yeah, they're calling themselves unaffiliated, but why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
They're not unaffiliated. It's clearly that it's him, Shingo, Daiki Nagai, and Takashi whenever he's there.
Yeah, and they made a whole point of... Yeah, well, yeah, it's a Hiromu. But they made a whole point of Daiki joining them. Like, so you can't be unaffiliated and also have a guy join. That's not how this works. You know. So that's something I would like to see happen. And maybe unleash a new member to counterbalance. Like, let's say the Knockout Brothers jump the ring and the War Dogs have a numbers advantage, and then suddenly a
Mhm.
new member of whatever this group is comes out, and they finally solidified them as a new faction because it looks like the Empire's dead too now. They made a point of that.
I mean, they still wrestled multi-man matches on this tour.
Well, they said that was the last time. Like Okan made a promo where he said this was
Oh, did
it.
they? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Makes total sense because
and they lost on top
without
of it, so.
without Ospreay, this act was dead in the water.
Yeah, I mean, even if they stay, it's still dead, really. I think that they're setting something up with Newman. Like it looks like that he's about to turn into Prince Devitt, fully here. Which he already was kind of doing, like the Prince's Curse, like his move in the past. Yeah. So now we're doing
the foot stomp as well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going full out. Like he's adopting that role. Like he went from the Ospreay clone to the Devitt.
Exactly.
Clone.
It's better for him to copy Prince
I agree.
Devitt than to copy Ospreay because he's nowhere near on that level.
Another great point, Strigga. Like sometimes you just drop these gems on all of us, and that's why you are the master when it comes to that. Because you're totally right about that. What could be looked at as a slight against him is actually a positive because of how bad what he was doing was before. So maybe he can start something new. I mean, bless them. Again, he definitely improved from where he was as a worker from last year, but are we really going to push top heel Newman this far? Like, we're going to give him his own group now? What are they going to do with all of these people, I wonder? But they at least tried to set some stuff up with Newman going with the Prince Devitt thing. You had the Knockout Brothers come back. You had, Zack run out in the main event. That's probably going to lead to a Zack and Narita challenge. I would have had a big Yoshihashi personally.
Wondering when they are going to do this match, the Zack and Narita match. When is that going to happen?
Are they not doing a Destruction show? Sure.
The Destruction on Kobe has Tanahashi versus Great Okan, the IWGP Tag Team title match. Then a special singles match between Hiromu Takahashi and Taiji Ishimori. Yoda Tsuji versus David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd versus Shingo Takagi.
I guess you can't write out a Naruto title match being on that show, but yeah.
Wouldn't they have announced that?
You're right. Is that their version of a stacked card?
Maybe.
Is Destruction going to be 2 nights?
I'm finding out. No, it's not.
We're trying. We're trying to make sense of this. And what if there is no Narita match? Like, he just ran out in the main event and it meant fuck all.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with this company. Like,
or do they think they want to do Zack Sabre and Ren Narita in Sumo Hall? And they do the Takeshita one in November.
I don't know, Strigga.
It could be due to Takeshita not being available for September and October.
Good point. Like, absolutely great. Man, Strigga, you're on a roll right now, man. Like you're beating me right now between the punch on these points. Another great point. I could totally see that being the reason now that you brought that up. I wonder what they're gonna do.
There is though, Dylan. There's a show on October 7th that is called Superman. Taiji Ishimori does even more crazy things. Crazy thing would be booking a Zack Sabre Jr. and Ren Narita title match.
That, in all honesty, I thought until the final when Evil got the reaction and people pointed to that and he wrestled Takeshita. I actually think Narita was one of the ones that got a little bit of a bump, like during block play.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, yes, that's
like it was a minor win, but we're so hard on them that I think we do need to try to be a little nice.
But you know why he gained is because he has been so low. He has been a sidekick of Evil in the House of Torture.
And even his most positive comment was really like, well, he's better than Evil and Sonata were. And A-Block was like the main talking point for him. And now even that's kind of gone because people like want to get behind Evil for whatever reason. No, so Narita kind of gained something, but not that much overall. Anyone else stand out to you positively? No. Oiwa
in moments. In certain moments. But I went up and down with him throughout this tournament, but I think my ultimate point for him at the start of the tournament stands. He is a guy that will have a great match whenever the circumstances are right. but he is not the guy that could be main event level.
Yeah, to me, he's like, I think, oh yeah, he's like Uemura, just worse.
Yeah.
Like that's basically where I have him slotted. Like whatever push idea you have for him, you would be better just giving to Uemura.
I think he will forever be a good never guy.
Yeah. Gotta get rid
I'm
of
not
the
saying
grip.
great never guy, I'm saying good never guy.
Gotta get rid of the grip as a finisher.
Gotta get rid of Yes.
But like he's good. Like I said, that's the thing. Like all of these guys are actually good, but nobody is like blowing the doors off and really taking it. And I think like you kind of need that right now. You need somebody to like really stand out and like blow the doors off. And again, we'll see if Aaron Wolf is that guy starting January 4th. Yeah.
So when we look at the upcoming cards, Dylan, they're just doing the same stuff over and over again that they have done for the last couple of months. So look at this here. So
no,
on September 24, I'm just reading these 3 matches, right?
I'm not blaming you, Strigga. But
okay, that's fun. It's fun. We get Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Master Wato. That's fun.
No. I mean, I like Wato, but what?
Then we get 2 title matches in the junior division, Dylan. Sho and Doki defend the title against Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita. And El Desperado defends the junior title against Yo. And of course, like I said, there is Hiromu Takahashi versus Teiji Ishimori on the very next show, so you can make up your math what's happening next.
Why did Doki come back as a heel?
I explained.
But your explanation fails because Desperado didn't lose the title. Like Doki could have easily have come back after that match.
Yeah, that's right.
Like if Despy had lost the title to Kosei, then yes. Like I mean, I still would have disagreed, but at least there was logic behind what you were saying. They threw that out the window. Now
Doki has to go as a heel, as a House of Torture guy, and win the title.
And this is what I'm talking.
House of Torture guy.
Yeah, and this is another issue I have with their booking. It's not just like the stupid stuff they do. It's that they don't even
they do all over again.
Well, it's the stupid stuff they do that is not even just bad. Like Naito losing to Okada in the Dome is something I totally disagree, and I will forever go to my grave. And everything tells me that I was right on that. That was bad. But at least it was something that had a logic to it, considering where they went to. Doki coming back from his terrible injury, who built himself up organically as a babyface last year, one of your few actually over organic babyfaces, because all of these other guys have failed at it. He has a devastating injury in his biggest moment at the Dome. Him coming back, fighting back through his injury months later, is an easy story. It doesn't take even a 5th grader to write that out. But
I may have wanted to come up with an explanation for that back at that point when he came back. I'll give you that definitely, and that goes back to what I was thinking about the booking team. There's really 2 explanations why they keep doing what they are doing. The explanation A is they can't think of something else. Their creativity is so bad that they just are incapable of thinking of something else that could work out. Explanation B is they don't want to do anything else.
Yes, so that's what I think it is.
I think there's reasons to think for both.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's, like you said, some things are just so clear that you just look at it and think, okay, that's what we're doing. Other times we see Evil and the House of Torture shtick being doubled down on when the evidence clearly shows into the different direction. And once again, we have this flash in the pan thing with Evil now, with this one moment in time where it actually worked out to a degree.
And there are people like you said earlier, like you want to like them, just not in this role. I think there's more people like that, like you, like in that situation.
I think that's a good point. Yes.
Yeah, like I do believe that. I may personally disagree, but I do think there is definitely a contingent that want to like these guys. Like Sho and Doki and even Evil to an extent before had fans, like Show especially, like people were rallying for him to go for the Never Belt. His reaction now is so different. But I think people still have a liking to these guys, just not in the role they're in. And they want to, again, I think they would be more tolerable in the role you're speaking of. And I do think there are people that just want to like these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's it, right? Is there anything more that you want to bring up?
How do you think is the way to fix all of these many, many problems that we talked about here? Is there anything you would push for if Gato and Yano and Dick Togo and everybody else called you and said, Strigga, you are the one. We're sick of hearing Dylan's bullshit. We need to hear you and you alone. We need your help to fix this company. What would be some answers you would get back to them?
My answer would be you should have done this during this tournament.
Yes, whatever plan you had, you should have started it before the tournament.
You should have done that because I think there has been some irreparable damage done to these guys that should be leading the charge. Hiratsuji should be the one, but he's not. Shoto Umino is in a role where he can get the crowd behind him, but he's not at the level. Yuya Omura, Roy Oiwa, they are there. Finlay is the one that I would point to. But they clearly slotted him in a different role as well, like you said. To be quite honest, I don't see any of these people in charge now being able to come up with anything else. What I would come up with is to do a reboot of this company.
Yes.
In a way that it's going to go back to where it used to be between 2014 and 2018, where you have guys that have amazing matches against one another, and you get stories out of that, and not vice versa. That you start stables, that you start groups, that you start shticks, get stories, and then do matches out of that. Because I think that there is a big market of fans that really are hoping for a traditional Japanese wrestling product instead of an over-Americanized product like we are having right now.
I agree with that. I think that was very well said. My advice would be somewhat similar. I would just say, look, we have to build stars. like this is not optional anymore. Okay, you've picked Takeshita.
It hasn't been optional for years, Dylan. I always bring that back up when we talked about that, I guess 4 or 5 years ago.
That's the thing. And we're going to have the same conversation we had at the start of this tournament next year.
Yes. And I said it when we talked about Naito, Tanahashi, Okada. And then we said, it was around 2019 when we said that, or 2020. I don't know. In between the big three guys that I just mentioned and the young guys, there is just nobody that is able to carry this company. Now, okay, we had Goto. We had this magical Goto run. That's something that the company didn't plan for. It just happened.
Exactly. That wasn't because of them. It happened in spite of them, not because of them.
Yes. And we didn't have anyone in between the big three and the new generation that could carry this company. And they just did not create stars for 4 or 5 years. And now that's the point that we're at, that now these guys need to just just become a star on their own, and not like the traditional way, become a star because you just beat a established main event guy.
Exactly, and that's another issue they have. They have no stars to put people over. We don't have a Tanahashi now that made Okada, in 2012. So here's what I would do. I would say, look, we need to build our stars for the future, or at least for the near future. So automatically, like, Aaron Wolf is our new Okada. Like, he is going to be the man. We protect him with all of our lives, pretty much. Like, I don't care if he's the worst worker we've ever seen. Like, he will be a star player for this company if anyone has anything to say about it. So you've got one guy to build around. You've chosen Takeshita.
Bad news for you.
What?
It's not going to happen.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think they will slot him in a way that they slotted guys.
And that's very possible. But yeah, it's very possible. Like, very possible. But I'm saying what I would say, like, right now.
Yeah.
I would say Wolf, he is now the star of this company going forward. Everything we do will be built to him getting a huge win in 2 to 3 years for the belt.
Yes. They should do what All Japan did with Yuma Anzai.
Perfect comparison. Like you said, not even fuck that. Yeah, don't even wait. Like, we're penciling him in. He's winning the G1 in 2026.
Getting a big debut match, just like Anzai did against Nagata.
Yep.
And then off we go.
And I think he'd be a great person as Tanahashi's opponent if they wanted to really put that over.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the idea was to have them be 2 separate drawing matches. But with the way Tanahashi feels like his star is kind of fading, that might be the answer that they go with. But either way, he is my guy. Like, everything will be built to 2027 Dome. Aaron Wolf is getting crowned as the champion. Secondly, you've chosen Takeshita with the G1. If we can get him signed, there's reason to believe he can be a difference-making player for this company. We're going to have to keep him strong. We may have to lead into being a heel if the fans don't take to him as a babyface. But we will have him in major roles. We're going to put him over strong. And you have Goto coming back. He proved himself before. Hopefully, the magic's not all dead. But he is the best chance we have right now. So right there, you've got 3 guys. 3 musketeers for 2026 to build around. And my goal would be to have a 4th guy of the young guys that we probably don't really believe in that much. But a Tsuji or Uemura or even a Shota. Like, whoever we go with, we are specializing this guy in 2026 and making him a main event player.
It has to be Tsuji.
I think it depends, because the thing is, he's got a really unique charisma about him. I think Uemura is actually a better... Like, the best way, in my opinion, that I think Uemura shows the best in-ring is as an underdog babyface. Like, when he's selling... Like, I think he has that... Like, that he's better at than Tsuji. So if you want to put him in that role, like, you have Takeshita and Wolf as kind of monster guys, like, totally unbeatable. Have Goto and Uemura as the sympathetic underdogs.
Exactly, yes. If you have a heel leading the company, Goto and Uemura would be the calling cards.
Yeah.
But if you want to have the charismatic, explosive guy on top, that's Yuta Tsuji.
Yeah. Or if you're like, maybe the fans take to Takeshita eventually, or maybe Wolf is undeniable as a baby and we just want to push him that way. And maybe Tsuji would be the better guy. But it doesn't matter. It could be Umino if they want. Like, just get behind somebody for real and not do what they've been doing with all of these guys. So that would be my plan. You've got 3 or 4 guys that you really zero in on and make them your stars through hell or high water, and you dedicate an entire year for that. And that would be... I also think an idea, what you said about the reboot would be good, because that's like my main issue with a lot of these guys, like Uemura and Oiwa. Just come out one day and say, Heat Storm is done. Like, all new gear, like, new music. Like, make these guys look fucking cool, man. Don't make them look like something from, a creator wrestler situation. Like make these guys, give these guys cool gear, like, new music, get a recording artist to record for them if you have to. Just make these guys feel like fucking stars, people. Like, what happened to the music? Like, that's like, in general, like, in all of New Japan, like, all of these news guys have shit entrance themes, in my opinion. And I come from the era of the iconic, Bakusho Singon, like, Hashimoto's theme. Like, the iconic, Team 2000 Crash, Muto's themes. Like, this stuff feels like for stars. This generic crap that they have now, it's something out of Def Rebel's catalog for half of these guys. Like, get new music, get new gear, make these guys look and feel like stars. And I think that will go a long way, in all honesty, to helping these guys get over more and to the general public. So those are our ideas, pretty much. So there's some positivity in there. There's some hope. I don't know if we really believe it happened, but at least we had ideas.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so that's been a lot that we had to say about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Next time we'll be back. I mean, Pro Wrestling Noah had their show on over the weekend with Kenta and Marufuji. That didn't go well. They announced the blocks for the N1. We're going to talk about that on the next show. Dragon Gate also had the show with Madoka Kikuta becoming the new Open the Dream champion, like probably everybody expected. We're also going to get back into Dragon Gate. We're going to get back into All Japan Pro Wrestling for our next show. But until now, I want to say thank you all for the engagement throughout the G1 Climax on Twitter. Thank you all for answering Dylan's call for the MVPs and LVPs and for your favorites throughout the tournament. It's still always is a great ride throughout the summer, Dylan, right? It always is great to like follow along this G1 Climax, even though the quality wasn't there.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people liked the tournament from an in-ring standpoint. Like, that was one of the main takeaways from this is like, I mean, I disagree with this stuff, but that doesn't make others wrong, like, either. Like, again, I mean, on this particular case, I mean, we are the outsiders, ultimately.
Yeah, maybe we are. That's fine. That's fine. We're just giving our perspectives, and it's hard for me to really be positive on a lot of things that this company does because it's so uninspiring.
And even you were more positive than I was, so don't feel bad. Like you gave even.
Yes.
So like, don't feel too bad, Strig. Like I said, I will be the bad guy in this particular tournament, I suppose. We'll see if I'm wrong or not in the long run. But actually, I hope I'm not. Like, I hope that these guys all become big stars in the future, because that's good for the company, good for the scene, good for our show. Like, if more people are interested in talking about it and having fun, that's what I want, and that's what I think you want too. So, that's like, so I hope that does happen. And like you said, big shout out to all the people that responded. Really appreciate all you guys out there. Appreciate everybody, especially who was on the Patreon, because I reviewed every show of Block Play on the Patreon. Every single match, as I always say. Now we're getting into some playoffs with the Stardom tournament. Coming up with the 5-star Grand Prix. I'll be covering that, and a lot of cool stuff happening in Japanese wrestling. The G1 wasn't really our cup of tea, I suppose, but there is a lot of stuff to talk about, and I can't wait to get back to it at a later date for all of you wonderful folks out there to enjoy.
Yes. So, thank you all for listening, and goodbye.
Sayonara.